Hello, good evening, or maybe good morning, depending where you are. We are really happy with Fabrizio to welcome you to this launch conference about DxO PureRAW 3. So we will present you with Fabrizio what is PureRAW, what is PureRAW 3, of course, and if you have any question, feel free to use the chat and we will answer you as soon as possible. So let's start by the presentation. So Fabrizio Deitos Navalesi is the DxO Products Manager of DxO Software Line, and in particular of DxO PureRAW. And I am Nicolas Beaumont, the DxO Products Evangelist. So today it's about PureRAW 3 again, but I'm guessing that not everyone knows exactly what DxO PureRAW is. So I would like to start by answering a basic question: what is PureRAW? From a functional point of view, it is a tool that enhances the quality of RAW files at the very start of the photographic editing process. DxO PureRAW is therefore an application for both Mac and PC that removes image noise and corrects for optical defect. You input original RAW files into DxO PureRAW for output enhancements based on two technologies exclusive to DxO. These two technologies are the result of years of research and development into ways of improving image quality. DeepPrime is DxO Demosaicing and Denoising technology. Technically speaking, DeepPrime is a neural network trained exclusively to demosaic images. It has learned how to do this by analyzing billions of high-quality images from our laboratories. DeepPrime evaluates three key aspects for this task of demosaicing: the noise, the color, and the fine detail of an image. And it is through demosaicing, therefore, that DxO PureRAW is able to remove noise from RAW files. At the same time, DxO PureRAW guarantees color accuracy and optical sharpness. The results of DeepPrime are most impressive when the shooting camera and lens are of a mid-range quality or when the ISO is particularly high. However, even on high-end equipment or on images taken at a lower ISO, the benefits of using PureRAW are evident. Noise is eliminated, colors are precise, and the blur is harmonious. The billions of images that we used to train DeepPrime were not created specifically for DeepPrime. They come from the work carried out in our DxO laboratories to identify the optical defects of camera bodies, lenses, and so body-lens combinations. Each camera body and each lens is examined and analyzed by our technicians in our Paris laboratories to create a profile of optical characteristics to put into a DxO optics module. It is these DxO optics modules that are behind our market-leading image corrections. DeepPrime denoising combined with these optical corrections deliver faultless, flawless images to kickstart your photo editing process with. Which is why DxO PureRAW won an ESA award in 2022, as well as praise from journalists and influencers. And we are sincerely grateful for the articles, videos, tutorials, reviews, or comparisons that highlight the image quality of DxO. But that's not all. DxO PureRAW is more than just an application, powerful as it is. PureRAW fits into any workflow, so photographers can manipulate images of the highest quality without needing to change their editing habits. In fact, PureRAW also works as a seamless Adobe Lightroom Classic plugin. You can run PureRAW from inside Lightroom on one or more images and collect your enhanced processed RAW files directly inside the Lightroom catalog. PureRAW can be run on any RAW file, regardless of where you are in the editing process. The standalone application has also a feature to automatically export file processed by PureRAW, as well as the original RAW file, to Lightroom Classic or Photoshop or another third-party application. PureRAW also integrates directly into Windows Explorer or macOS Finder. Just right-click on a RAW file, and a few seconds later, you have a better RAW file to start the editing process with your editing software. And it's quicker to do it than explain it. But so far, I have only been talking about version 1 and 2 of DxO PureRAW. And today, we are delighted to announce a new release of PureRAW, the version 3, which is packed with improvements. Of course, you will get a chance to try for free DxO PureRAW after this presentation, and maybe you already try it. However, I will give you an overview of the new features of this version 3. Denoising, color accuracy, and sharpening now benefit from a new neural engine called DeepPrime XD. XD meaning extra detail. Both DeepPrime and DeepPrime XD rely on neural networks. But XD's neural network has been specifically trained to enhance fine image detail. XD enriches DeepPrime rather than replace it. It's like getting an extra blade on your Swiss Army knife. DeepPrime XD is particularly efficient in low light levels because it can recover more than 2.5 stops of ISO. When DxO unveiled DeepPrime a few years ago, I remember that one journalist suggested it was like cleaning your glasses with an handkerchief to see more clearly. Well, think of DeepPrime XD as cleaning your glasses with some solvent as well as an handkerchief. DeepPrime XD is able to process RAW files produced by both Bayer and X-Trans sensors. This new version of DxO PureRAW improves your workflow with the introduction of a new processing queue system. The possibilities are endless, and you will see Fabrizio demonstrating that. Queues can be created at any time, even while you are processing other images. You can create queues with different denoising parameters, levels of corrections, file names, and destinations. Before or during image processing, queue images can be reordered, and you can add or remove images as you go. The intuitive processing window lets you now quickly set the processing parameters. So lens softness correction can be switched on or off. And when it is enabled, you can select from 4 levels of strength. The correction of vignetting and chromatic aberrations can be activated or deactivated. And finally, distortion correction is also optional. When that is activated, 3 different modes are available, and because the picture is worth 1,000 words, here are 4 images to explain those different modes. So this is a photo of the Opéra Garnier House in Paris without optical corrections. Now with optical corrections using image crop to the original ratio, the standard mode. Here is maximum rectangle mode, who lets you benefit from the greatest image area within a rectangular frame. And finally, in complete image area mode, you can see every pixel of the image and therefore black pixels where there is no image information. So I'm going to show you again more quickly. Without optical correction, original ratio mode, maximum rectangle, and complete image area. In addition to DNG and JPEG format, DxO PureRAW 3 now lets you export images in TIFF2, in 8-bit, 8-bit compressed, and 16-bit format. And you can also opt to use a different export format for each batch you process, or to select one or multiple export formats at the same time. The look and feel has also been redesigned to offer a more modern-looking interface that offers an intuitive user experience using the features of DxO PureRAW 3. Finally, DxO PureRAW 3 also benefits from a monthly update of DxO Optics modules, as do all DxO products. And now, I guess you are eager to see DxO PureRAW 3 in action, so I will hand over to Fabrizio. Fabrizio, here you go.
Thank you, Nicolas, for this presentation, and hi everyone. So we're really glad to show you today PureRAW 3, and you see on your screen the new interface with a cleaner and a dark gray background that you will find again on every of the navigation dialog box that you have in the app. You have something that is more homogeneous and that is more pleasing to the eyes. So very quickly, the big features of this PureRAW 3 are in the processing options, of course, and in the workflow, as Nicolas mentioned. So I will just start by showcasing the few options that you now have access to. So I will select these 3 files and I will process now, but I'll show you later what this add to queue is related to. So when you have the processing window now, you see that indeed you have access to DeepPrime XD, which is the extra detail. So that's it stands for the XD of DeepPrime. It's the extra detailed version. So it's not something that replaces completely DeepPrime. It's something that goes along with it. And you will see that on scenarios and different various case of images, you will whether use DeepPrime or DeepPrime XD according to how much of the details you want to retrieve, and especially the final results that you will like more and that will be more pleasing to you. So that's why they're both a great asset for your photography, and both are still used, and DeepPrime XD doesn't make DeepPrime obsolete. You will see that it's really according to the cases you use in it. So optical correction, you see that now you have all individual correction that you can activate or deactivate. So the lens softness correction, and you see that now you even have 4 levels of lens softness correction, the vignetting, of course, the chromatic aberration, and the lens distortion that comes, as Nicolas mentioned and showed you, with 3 kind of crop. Basically, you have the image crop to the original ratio, so it keeps the original ratio of the camera, and crop it based on the center of the image. The maximum rectangle will try to fetch the maximum rectangle out of the image area, so without the black borders created by the correction of the lens distortion, so whether pincushion or barrel distortion. And finally, the complete image area that will really encompass everything, even this black border, if you need, and if you have to further edit it in a third-party application like Photoshop, for example, or do some content field, then you will be able to really maximize the image area that is coming out of your camera. And in output format, we've also added the TIFF format, and indeed comes with 3 options, so 8-bit, 8-bit compressed, and 16-bit. So that's, and of course, I remind you that in output formats, you can select multiple output formats at once when you want, and you need to export your image in different file outputs. And basically, that's for the little, let's say, but big addition that we've put into the processing window. But I'll cancel it here because I want to talk to you about another great feature of this PureRAW 3 version, which is the queue list. And basically with the processing, and especially when you have to batch process lots of images, you will now be able to have access to this processing list and even prepare it. So that's why on the go at the start of it, when you have your images, you have access to whether they had to queue, which is basically preparing your list, or processing now, which is the current workflow that you were used to, so it doesn't disrupt anything. If you still want to process now, you will select your images, put your parameters, and it will start processing immediately. The add to queue allows you to, for example, well, it triggers, of course, the same dialog window, but what is nice is that it allows you to, so let me set some soft lens softness correction, vignetting, chromatic aberration, then lens distortion, image distortion. I will put the complete image area, DNG, okay, folder is set, everything is set for me. So I will add this to queue and I will treat them with DeepPrime. And now I will make another selection of these files. I will add them to queue as well, and this time I will do them with DeepPrime XD and maybe with the standard lens softness correction. And maybe I will keep the vignetting because I like the vignetting of this specific lens. And I'll add them to queue. And what you see now below is that where you were used to see the progress bar, now you have the show queue and the same button that will allow you to access the queue and to hide the queue as well. And when you access the queue and display it, you see that now indeed you find my two processes, two batches, the first 3 photos and the other one. And what is nice is that, first of all, I can add other batches or other processes to this queue as I want. For example, this one, I will correct them, well, just with high quality, for example. Let's go add to queue. And you see that I have them here. And whenever I'm ready, I can also go open other files, of course. When I'm ready, I will start the processing. And, PureRAW will start the processing and it will start the list. And at any time, if I want to reorder my files, I can. And the same goes with if I want to add other files to this, I can as well. So you see that I can add, now that it has started, I can add other pictures. Let me add those files up, add them. And you see that the processing is ongoing. I have this one, so I will add them to the queue now because the processing is ongoing, so I don't have to add to queue. And this one, I will put them in DeepPrime. I will maybe do JPEGs out of it and add to queue. And you see that, and here I have a prompt that say that if I want to use unique name because I had already some of the file already processed, so I'll use unique names. And you see that here, when I access the queue list, I have the files headed, and at some point you see that PureRAW is doing his job. That's great. And I have a call of a client that say, okay, I need this image really quickly. Can you do something? And maybe if it was in the list very low, I can right click and I can say, okay, process next. And you see that it jumps immediately right after the processing that will be done, and it will start processing this image. And I can reorder files as I want. I can say, okay, this one, you can put them at the end of the processing queue because it's not very urgent, and I can even drag and drop files and reorder them according to my needs. So that's very handy. And I can also, of course, if I say that at some point this batch I don't need it, I can remove, of course, the files that are not needed whenever I can. And I can also, of course, pause my processing when I want and resume it when I want, and I can cancel all my processing if needed. So that's a very nice addition to the PureRAW processing and the PureRAW workflow that we're bringing with this version 3. So the DeepPrime XD, which is really the utmost in terms of quality, of color accuracy and denoising. It's the best on the market today. So, and you can also, of course, now retrieve even more from what DeepPrime was able to do. And I can, for example, show you the result on these images, which at least this image, which was shot by a Nikon Z9 at 10K ISO. You can see here below the parameters, and you will see that on the left you have the original image, 10K ISO, and on the right you have what DeepPrime XD is able to retrieve out of it. And you see that it's quite impressive in terms of details and quality. So I'll just show you at some point what on some details, especially what it brings, the before and after. And really, I encourage you to test it, even to compare it with other solutions on the software. You'll see that it's quite mind-blowing. And that's all I wanted to demonstrate to you today with this PureRAW 3 release. And I will hand over the presentation back to Nicolas. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for this demonstration, Fabrizio. I hope, and I'm pretty sure, that you are more than ever eager to test this version for yourself. However, I'm going to sum up. So PureRAW offers denoising at the demosaicing level, optical corrections and corrections for lens softness, and version 3 introduces a new denoising engine to complement the existing one. So DeepPrime XD extracts extra details from images captured on Bayer and X-trans sensors. A new comprehensive image processing queue management feature offers complete flexibility in how you organize and reorganize your workflow. The ability to choose one or more export formats, including 3 new TIFF options, a redesigned interface for a smoother user experience, and finally, DxO PureRAW 3 benefits from ongoing monthly updates of DxO Optics modules. The prices set for DxO PureRAW 3 are the same as for DxO PureRAW 2, so here you are all prices, and of course it is sold as a perpetual license, as all DxO products are. But that's not quite everything. You will recall that DeepPrime XD is able to process images from Bayer and X-trans sensors. While there is another application, the DxO application, known for its denoising capabilities in photographic editing, DxO Photolab. And we are therefore delighted to announce that the next version of Photolab, version 6.4, is including the option to process X-trans raw files using DeepPrime XD. And now, with Fabrizio, we are going to shut off the cameras and we are going to answer your question directly in the chat. Let's consider that the Q&A session will last 15 minutes, something like that. So see you now in the chat. Thank you so much for all your questions. So now we are gonna close this video. Of course, if you have any question, any remaining question, we are at your disposal. You can use the customer support. You can visit DxO.com with frequently asked questions and so on. You can also, of course, use our social networks, and you will have all the links below in the description. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.